episode number 36 of the Pound for Pound show. I am Philip, and joining me as always are Mr. Russ and Mr. Ben. How you guys doing today?
Good.
We're great, Phil. How are you doing?
I am doing absolutely tremendous. You know, it's been a little bit cold, but we're getting through it. So
brutal snow this last week.
Yep. But it sounds like a lot of places got it worse than us. So I'm not going to complain too bad. So it wasn't great. Could live without it, but it could be worse. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, we got some big fights coming up this weekend. So without further ado, let's get into it. Very, very highly anticipated rematch between Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker. I don't want to give my thoughts away too quick, so I'll turn it over to you guys. Russ, I'll let you go first, and then Ben, I'll let you chime in and give your thoughts on the fight, how you guys are feeling about it, and kind of what you expect to see.
Well, we've waited a long time for this fight. It's rare to see like a rematch, like 2 years in the making. It took a long time for Whittaker to build back up to this title shot. I'm happy to see him get it. The betting line is Whittaker plus 225 and Izzy minus 285. I think that line is off. Like when I was thinking about it, I think that should be like much closer than that. I think Whittaker, I think you've seen the worst version of Whittaker last time when they fought. He was coming off like, I want to say like 18-month layoff or something because that intestinal crap. He just didn't look like himself. He got caught multiple times and it was sloppy. And Izzy was his best self that night. So yeah, I think this is going to be a much closer, more competitive fight. And I've been telling everybody Izzy for the past couple of weeks, but the more I think about it, the more I could see like Whittaker winning a split decision. I think it's going to be very close and like scorecards all over the place, but I'm going with Whittaker by split decision now.
Wow.
I'm switching it up. I think he's going to improve all those mistakes he made. He doesn't have the hometown pressure this time. Just a lot of things tell me it's going to be a much better fight for him. And his last 5 wins were by decision. So like, he's not finishing dudes too often. So I could see it being like a war, like the Gastelum Izzy fight and Whittaker grinding it out. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, good call, Russ. I agree with a lot of what you said. That's crazy because about 2 or 3 days ago, I talked to you and I said, who are you picking for the fight? And you said, Izzy. Yeah. Literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And now he's switched. But it's like the more you think about a fight, the closer it gets, the more you kind of flip flop. It happens in a lot of everyone, me, that's how it is. But I agree with a lot of what you said. I think Whittaker comes in there with a much better game plan. I think he watched that Jan fight, and a lot of people learned a lot in that Jan versus Izzy fight. Izzy's weakness is wrestling, and Jan did have some size on him, which Rob does not have, but I think he's going to implement his wrestling and pressure Izzy, not give Izzy any room, because we know what Izzy does with room. He wrecks people. He just picks them apart. That's what he did to Rob in the first fight. I don't think Rob's going to give him any room, and I think he's going to wrestle him and get the decision. Don't know what decision, but I think Rob's going to get the decision. And yeah, he's gone on a complete tear since that fight. Who did he beat? He beat Cannonier. He beat Till. He beat Gastelum. He's looked great in all 3 performances, and those are no slouches. So I'm going with Whittaker. My heart's saying Whittaker. I wouldn't bet on it, but my heart's saying Whittaker. I'm going to go with Whittaker. What do you think, Phil?
Dude, that was the least committal.
Yeah.
Ever. You're like, my heart says Whittaker, but I really think I want Whittaker to win.
It's such a good fight. It's really hard to
No, I agree. I agree with you guys. We were probably the only group in the world that is unanimously picking Whittaker to win this fight outside of Australia. So I'm sure in Australia there's a lot of podcasts and picks for Whittaker. But yeah, I just think he's looked so tremendous. I think he's exercised a level of patience in his last couple fights, and because Whittaker used to be more of just like a brawler and a banger, and you saw that did not pay dividends. If he goes out there and he does that, it's going to be another short night of work for Izzy. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's learned a lot. I think he's going to be much more meticulous about the way he works his game plan, and he's going to be able to control a lot more of the fight. And I think it's going to be frustrating for Adesanya. Again, I understand, like, I wouldn't count Adesanya out. He's obviously been so great. And I think a lot of us think of the Jan fight and we tend to think of that because it was so recent and forget of all the great things that Adesanya has done. Because again, I was convinced Costa was going to beat him, and he just embarrassed Costa. So
same.
Izzy, could come out and put on an incredible performance, but I think he's getting a whole different Robert Whittaker. I think Whittaker's going to control the pace in a much slower, maybe less fan-friendly fight. I think Whittaker is going to grind this one out as well. I agree with just about everything you guys said.
Yeah, I think he's going to respect the power much more. Like I just rewatched the fight for the first time since the only time, watching it live. And like Whittaker didn't even look like himself. He just looked slow and sloppy. Like he was winging punches. And when he got clipped in that first round, like it was technically like a 2 knockout fight, because if that went another second, he was going out in that first round. It was over from that point. So he's just got to be way more precise and careful. I think he's going to be. It had to be that long layoff that made him look like that, because that's the only time he's looked like that. If he looked like that against Romero, he would have been sleeping, like
that's true.
So I think he's going to be a much better fighter this time around. And Izzy, I don't know. He didn't look that amazing against Vettori, and of course the Jan fight, didn't look good at all. So he might have peaked. We'll see.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
If you guys would have told me prior to this that we'd all pick Whittaker in the rematch that Izzy knocked him out, like I'd have said, you're insane.
And it was very one-sided.
Yeah, and we did. We're picking Whittaker. We're crazy, but all right.
Yeah, and he is, like you said, like a 2.5 to 1 underdog. It's not.
I think
like
that line is wacky.
That is off.
It should be that crazy.
I think it should be maybe a 1.75, something around there. 1.5 maybe.
I agree with you guys, but I think to your guys' point as well, like, if you go back and you watch the first fight right before you set the odds, it probably makes more sense.
Yeah. It sways those odds. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll see. Maybe they know something we don't. So we'll have to see. So, and then in the co-main, in a fight that should be exciting, and could very well lead to a title shot or an interim title shot, we've got Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa, Russ's boy. Couple of heavyweights, couple of guys who are known for big finishes. So Ben, I'm gonna throw it to you, and then Russ, I'll throw it over to you, and you guys let me know how you see this one going down.
This should be a fight that ends in a certain knockout, but whenever we say that, it's usually maybe like a garbage fight. But I think it ends in a knockout. You got Derek Lewis with the most knockouts in heavyweight history, or I think tied maybe, or something like that. And then Tai, who's been on a pretty good run. He's finishing people. He's finally hit a stride where he's not back and forth. We're seeing poor performances. He's been on a good run. The fans are like getting behind Tai, and I think the UFC realizes that. I think they're pushing him towards the top, kind of giving him more of a challenge and putting him against bigger names and stuff. So I think Tai rises to the occasion. I think he finishes Lewis. I think this is going to be one of those performances where Lewis just what's the word I'm looking for? Like wilters, you know what I mean? Like he just, and I'm going with Tai knockout. What do you guys think?
I don't think wilter's a word.
No, I don't think so either.
Not a word.
What the hell word am I thinking of?
I think wilt is the word you were looking for.
Yeah.
I was gonna let it slide, but I can't.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
I appreciate it.
What the hell is the word?
Yeah, I think wilt.
I don't think so. It's not the word I'm looking for.
Or falter, maybe.
I think I combined them. I think I did. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes, if you falter and you also wilt, you wilter.
Okay.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. Go ahead. You're not going to find it.
Okay.
I like this fight a lot. I think it's going to be highly entertaining. The KO King versus the Shui King is going to be fireworks for sure. I'm going against my boy here, Tuivasa. I think he's like the perfect opponent for Derek Lewis to add to his KO record. I think it's just, he's always willing to give one to take one to give one. And like Derek Lewis, you can't do that against. He just has all the power in the world. We've seen him knock out everybody pretty much. And his resume is just unreal. As much as I don't like picking against Tai, this is a tough one for him. Go in there and want to KO Derek Lewis. Have we ever seen Lewis KO'd?
He's Mark Hunt stopped him via strikes.
Okay. TKO, not like flash knockout.
Yeah, not like KO'd violently, but I think Hunt stopped him with strikes, and I think Gon stopped him with strikes too in his last fight.
Did he? I couldn't remember if that was a decision or if it was if he stopped him with strikes. Either way, that was highly disappointing.
I think Gon got him out of there in like the third round. Derek Lewis is, I think of all those fights where he gets hurt and then somehow gets back in the fight because he gets hit and he looks like he's going to quit. He like turtles up and everything. And then guys start hitting him. And then he just starts winging those ridiculous haymakers.
Yeah. Then he throws a punch from like another country and like knocks people out. And he looks like he's on death's door. It makes no sense, but like that's what he does. Yeah. And I think he's going to add to that KO list. I just think he's got too much power. I think there's a big power difference, you know. Despite Ty having a lot of power, I just think Derek Lewis has that otherworldly power. And if you're gonna be willing to bang with him, it's tough.
Right. I agree with that, but I think, you know, Ty obviously has the youth on his side, and not that Lewis was ever the most athletic and most agile. He does appear to be slowing down though. You know, all those wars catch up with you at some point. I just don't know how many of those Derek Lewis has. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Derek Lewis landed a bomb and finished it, but I'm kind of leaning towards Ty as well. He puts on quite a bit of pressure. I just think it's going to be Lewis is going to run out of gas at some point.
All right. We got 2 picks for Ty. I like it.
That's great, man.
One of them wasn't you.
No.
Crazy.
Shockingly, I always pick him, but not this time. And I always pick against Lewis, but I can't continue to do that.
Yeah, that's, I mean, see, I'm committed to it. Like once I'm committed, like I will till the end of time. So
understandable.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't think there was anything else on this card we really wanted to discuss. You know, UFC's really been having some top heavy cards lately and putting on, you know, a 1 or 2 main event level fights. And then a lot of fights that, you know, maybe aren't the most fan friendly or, you know, the biggest names. So a couple cool people on the card, but we're not going to drag it out talking about that. But what we will do is we'll throw it over to Russ and he's going to tell you guys how you can make some money on this card.
All right. For best bets. Last month on the pay-per-view, I went 1-2. I won on the plus 190 underdog. It was Jasuda Vicious. She won as plus 190 dog. And then I lost on the 2 title fights on Moreno and Gan, which I thought Moreno won the fight, but it was close. And Gan, I just never want to see again. That fight was awful. God awful. All right. For the best bets this time, I'm going with Whitaker plus 225. I think that line is off. And I just think Whitaker's going to somehow grind it out and get it done. I'm going with over 3.5 rounds in that fight, minus 135. I think it's going to be a war. And then I'm going with Brunson against Cannonier. Brunson's a plus 150 underdog. And I think he's, you know, possibly the better fighter. I don't think that he should be the underdog in that fight. He's on a 5-fight win streak. So I'm going with him. That's the 3.
It's good. That's good.
And then Whitaker by decision is plus 400. I'm probably not going to bet that, but you know, it's interesting if you want to sprinkle some on that.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is that's what I've been doing lately is really trying to increase my odds by picking the method of victory. So yeah, I love picking the method of victory. Yeah, it was the last pay-per-view. I was 2-0 on the title fights, but then I put some money on the method of finish. I didn't think Figgy would win by decision, and I certainly didn't think Francis would win by decision. So I wish
Francis by decision was a huge payout. If you could have did that,
but who would have thought? So
nobody on earth.
Exactly. So that's, you know, like I had them both, but I had them, you know, right winner, wrong prop. So, but that definitely increases your payout quite a bit sometimes. So, you know, I would look at that Whitaker by decision because I don't necessarily see him getting him out of there, but hopefully.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Good stuff. Well, anything you guys want to cover about the pay-per-view coming up?
Actually, I do want to say one little fact about this pay-per-view is that Roxanne Modafferi, Roxy, this is her final fight of her career. Absolute legend of women's MMA. Tune in.
Relax with that.
Okay.
And also, you know, the Lewis Ty, I know Phil said like it might have some title implications, but like it definitely has that going for it because Francis is out for like a year now. So at best. That's if they can like get a contract and get him in there. So like there's going to be an interim title fight within the next 6 months. So we'll just see who they're going to go with. You would think Jones and Stipe, but if they can't get Jones in there, you know, the winner of this could jam in there. Yeah.
You could get the winner of this against Stipe for the title. Like that very easily could happen right around International Fight Week. You know, it's there's a lot at stake for this fight. So yeah, I would expect both guys to come out and really be motivated to get this one done. So
it definitely adds something to it for sure.
Agreed. Cool. Well, I think that about covers it, guys. So we'll be back to recap the fights, and we'll let everyone get back to their day. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy the fights, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Let's go, Bobby Knuckles.
Yeah. Woo.